I'm Jacob, 34 years old, and if there's one thing I've learned in the last 2 years, it's this. Family can cut deeper than any enemy ever could. Not because of what they do, but because you never see it coming, because you trust them, love them, and carry the blind hope that one day they'll treat you the same way. Growing up, I was the reliable one. The one who didn't crash the family car, didn't sneak out of the house, didn't scream at our mom in the middle of church. That was my younger sister, Megan. She had a flair for drama and a golden halo in our parents' eyes, no matter what mess she caused. Me? I got the hand-me-downs and the lectures. Megan got the second chances and the she's going through a phase excuses. But I didn't resent her. Not at first. I figured families are just messy sometimes. Maybe it'd balance out later in life. So I went to community college, worked full-time, paid off my student loans, and slowly climbed up the ranks at a tech company that didn't care about my last name, just my work. Meanwhile, Megan bounced between MLM schemes and finding herself in expensive wellness retreats funded by, you guessed it, mom and dad. It all came to a head about 18 months ago when I got a call from my mom. She said, "Your father and I are in a bit of a financial bind. The mortgage payment is getting tricky. We didn't want to bother you, but Megan's been having health issues, and we've had to support her more than we expected." I didn't ask for proof. I didn't press for details. I just said, "Send me the account info for $1,600 a month." Every month. I set it to auto-pay from my account. It hurt. Not because of the money. I could afford it. Barely. But because they didn't even ask how I was doing. I just moved into a modest one-bedroom, still renting. No housewarming card. No visit. Just a steady drip of silence between payments. I told myself it was temporary. That I was doing the right thing. That maybe this would finally earn some respect. I was wrong. The first real crack came at Megan's birthday dinner, hosted at the house I was quietly paying for. When I arrived, Megan looked at me like I was a waiter who'd wandered into the wrong section. "Oh, you made it," she said, with a fake smile already halfway off her face. "There's beer in the garage fridge, I think." I brought a $200 digital frame preloaded with pictures from our childhood. A sentimental gift I thought might melt some ice. She never opened it. Then came Dad's toast. To Megan, he beamed. "You've always been the light in this family, the one who keeps us young and laughing. You're the reason this house is still a home." I nearly choked on my water. They hadn't even mentioned me. Not once. But it got worse. Over the next few months, I noticed a change in tone during the rare texts I got from Mom. Shorter. Colder. One-word responses. And Megan? She was suddenly playing homemaker, hosting brunches, redecorating the house, posting candid Instagram stories showing off the kitchen backsplash as if she owned the place. Then I heard from a family friend that Megan had moved in permanently, and that Mom had been telling people Megan was helping with the mortgage. I laughed at first. Then I just sat there, staring at the payment confirmation email on my screen. One afternoon, I decided to visit. No warning, just a quick stop by on my way home from work. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed the lawn had been professionally landscaped, something I knew my parents wouldn't splurge on. Then I saw the new welcome mat, the Moore family, established 2024. Moore was Megan's last name. I rang the bell. No answer. I rang again. Still nothing. But I could hear music inside, pop music, Megan's taste, not my parents'. I texted Mom, "Hey, I'm outside. Can we talk?" No response. That night, I got the message. From Mom. "We've blocked your number and changed the locks. You're no longer part of this family. No, please understand. No, this is hard for us." Just pure, detached finality. I stared at the text, read it twice, then a third time. Then I smiled. Not out of joy. Out of clarity. "Got it," I replied. "But you forgot one crucial thing." I opened my banking app. I canceled the auto payment. All $4,600 of it. 18 months of loyalty. 18 months of silence. 18 months of pretending I didn't notice the growing gap between what I gave and what I got back. 2 days later, I got a voicemail. "Jacob, this is Alan Peterson. I'm representing your parents regarding a pressing financial matter. We need to speak with you immediately. Please call back at your earliest convenience. It's urgent." I didn't call, because by then, I had already received the foreclosure notice. Not addressed to me, of course. It went straight to them, Mom, Dad, and Megan, via certified mail, hand-delivered to the same porch that had once been mine to walk up to without knocking. But I called the bank 2 days prior, explained that I was the one making the payments, not a co-signer, just a private party covering it voluntarily, and that I was no longer willing to continue. I didn't need to threaten anything. I simply revoked authorization, and the rest took care of itself. You'd be surprised how fast a house of cards collapses when no one's paying the mortgage. But let me rewind a bit, because the real unraveling didn't start with the foreclosure letter. It started with the panic that hit about 12 hours after that lawyer's voicemail. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to my email blowing up. First, it was Megan, then Mom, then even my dad, who hadn't spoken directly to me in months. Megan typed, "Why would you do this? What is wrong with you?" Mom typed, "Please, let's be civil. You're overreacting. We didn't mean anything by it." Dad typed, "We need to talk. This isn't how family handles things." That one made me laugh out loud. Because apparently, family handles things by changing locks, blocking numbers, and pretending someone doesn't exist until the bills stop being paid. Still, I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The next day, I checked Megan's Instagram. Her latest story had vanished. You know, the one with her posing in front of the house like it was some magazine spread. The hashtag blessed, hashtag more mansion, caption had mysteriously disappeared too. I knew why. Because behind that front door, things were spiraling. The house wasn't in foreclosure yet, not officially. But the moment the payment was missed, and there was no Megan to cover it, no family teamwork to dig them out of the mess, I knew the clock had started ticking. I got confirmation from the bank a week later. The property had entered pre-foreclosure status. That meant notices, calls, red tape, stress, and suddenly, I was very important again. Mom tried calling me from a different number. When I didn't pick up, she left a voicemail that almost sounded like her old self, if you ignored the desperation under every word. "Jacob, honey, this has gone too far. We were angry, yes, but you have to understand, we didn't mean to hurt you. Megan has just been going through so much, and your father and I were trying to keep the peace. Please call me back. Please." I almost did. Not because I wanted to reconcile. No, that ship had sailed and sunk. But because I wanted to ask one question. What peace were you keeping? The kind that forgets who's feeding the roof over your head? The kind that rewrites the truth and sells it back to you in installments of guilt? The kind that expects your silence while they mock you from a home you're secretly paying for? No, I didn't call. Instead, I did something pettier. Or maybe something honest, depending on how you look at it. I sent Megan one final message. Short, surgical, clean. Turns out it wasn't your house after all. She left it on read. But not before she blocked me. I figured that was the end of it. But it wasn't. The real finale came a few days later when I received another voicemail from their lawyer. "Mr. Jacobs, the house is officially in pre-foreclosure. Unless the full past due amount is paid immediately, legal proceedings will continue. Your parents were under the impression this situation was resolved. Please call me back." They're extremely distressed. I bet they were. Because here's the thing. They'd taken for granted the one person in the family who never asked for anything. Not praise, not gifts, not public credit. Just decency. A place at the table. A little honesty. Instead, they handed my seat to Megan. Rolled out the red carpet for her, while quietly expecting me to pay for it all behind the curtain. They never imagined what would happen when I simply stepped off stage. And now? Now I hear they're trying to sell the house, scrambling for a buyer before the bank takes it entirely. But no one's biting. The local market's cold, and the story about their financial troubles is starting to float through the neighborhood like smoke. Funny how people ask questions when they see a once proud family suddenly stumble. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't have to. The silence said it all. But even now, even after all this, a part of me still aches. Not because I want them back in my life, but because I once did. I once believed that if I just worked harder, paid more, stayed quiet, they'd see me, respect me, treat me like more than a walking wallet with a shared bloodline. That illusion is gone now. And honestly, it's the most freeing thing I've ever lost. But the real chaos, oh, that's still coming. Because you wouldn't believe what they tried next. 2 days after that last voicemail, I was sitting in my apartment, quiet, warm, everything paid for by me and only me, when I heard a knock at my door. Not the mailman, not a neighbor, no delivery. It was my dad. I opened it just far enough to see his face and immediately regretted not checking the peephole first. He looked older, like stress had finally caught up with the arrogance. His eyes were bloodshot, his dress shirt was wrinkled in a way that didn't feel like style, and he didn't smile. Instead, He opened with, "Jacob, we need to talk." I stared at him. "No, you need to leave." He stepped forward like he expected me to cave. Like we'd just rewind to some simpler time where he barked orders and I followed out of habit. "I drove 2 hours to get here," he said. "That's not my problem," I replied, already shutting the door. His hand caught it before it closed fully. "Don't do this. You're better than this." And that's when I snapped. I pushed the door open just wide enough to look him dead in the eye. "You changed the locks. You blocked my number. You told me I wasn't part of the family. And now that the gravy train's off the tracks, you remember where I live." He looked taken aback, like he expected tears or pleading, not steel. "That was your mother," he muttered, trying to shift blame like a shell game. I scoffed. "She hit send. But you both signed the papers. You watched Megan move in. You watched her pretend like she built that house with her bare hands while I was footing the bill. And you didn't say a word." He stepped back slightly, rubbing the back of his neck. "Look, it got out of hand. But you know how your sister is. We were just trying to support her." "No," I said firmly. "You were enabling her. There's a difference." He tried one more card. "The oldest one in the book. She's family." I stared at him in disbelief. "And I'm not." He didn't answer. He didn't have to. I shut the door in his face. This time, he didn't stop it. I stood there for a long time, hand on the doorknob, heart thudding. Because as much as I hated it, part of me still wanted him to knock again. To apologize. To say he messed up, really meant it. Maybe even say the words I'd never heard growing up. "I'm proud of you." But all I heard were footsteps retreating down the hall. That night, Megan tried again. She called from a friend's number. This time, she wasn't angry. She was pathetic. "Jake, I know we've had our issues, but we're in a serious bind. Mom and Dad are not doing well. The house is going to be taken if we don't get help. Can't you just spot us a couple months until we figure something out?" "Figure something out?" I repeated. "You mean like a job?" Dead silence. Then, "You're being cruel." I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was the most backward, twisted accusation I'd ever heard. "I paid your rent for a year and a half. Without a thank you. You humiliated me at your birthday dinner. You all cut me out and made me feel like a stranger in my own family. And now that the money's gone, I'm cruel?" "You don't understand," she said, voice rising. "No," I interrupted, voice calm but ice cold. "You don't understand. Actions have consequences. And just because you never had to face them before doesn't mean I'm going to keep shielding you." I hung up, blocked the number, and that was when the campaign started. They didn't stop. Not even close. Aunt Marie messaged me on Facebook, pretending to check in before slipping in. "Your mom's heart's been acting up again. All this stress isn't helping." Uncle Ron sent me an email asking if I'd consider being the bigger man. Even my godmother, who I hadn't seen since high school, texted to say how disappointed she was in me. That's when I realized they were doing it. They were playing the martyr card. The "we did our best but Jacob turned on us" act. Classic. Except this time, I didn't stay quiet. I drafted one post. Just one. I didn't tag anyone. Didn't name names. Just facts. For the past 18 months, I paid someone else's $4,600 mortgage. I was never asked if I could afford it, never thanked. Then I was cut off, blocked, and locked out of a house I'd been silently keeping afloat. Now that the bank is involved, I'm suddenly important again. Not because I matter, but because the money does. I won't name names. But I won't be guilted into silence either. I logged off after that. I didn't check the reactions. Didn't scroll the comments. But the messages stopped. I think, deep down, they knew it was over. That I'd stepped out of the role they'd written for me and wasn't looking back. But then something happened that I wasn't expecting. Something that pulled the rug out from under this whole thing. Because 2 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail, no return address, but the handwriting was unmistakable. It was from my mom. The envelope was cream-colored, creased at the corners, with a familiar looping script that I hadn't seen in years, not on anything personal, anyway. It smelled faintly like lavender. My mom had always sprayed letters with perfume, even holiday cards. I held it in my hands longer than I probably should have, debating whether to rip it up or read it. Curiosity 1. Inside was a single piece of lined paper, neatly folded in thirds. "Jacob, I know we've hurt you. I know the things we said, what I said can't be unsaid. But I am asking you to at least try to understand where I was coming from. Megan needed us. She still does. And maybe I got so focused on keeping her above water that I didn't realize I was letting you drown in silence. You never asked for help, and I took that to mean you didn't need anything. I see now how wrong I was. I didn't know about the payments. Not all of them. Your father handled the finances. But I knew enough to know we were being carried, and I let it happen. I let you carry us, and I didn't say thank you. I didn't say I love you. I didn't say I'm proud of you. I am so proud of you, Jacob. I always have been. But somewhere along the way, I forgot to say it out loud. I was too busy worrying about everything else, and I see now what that cost. The house, well, you probably know it's gone. We're staying with your sister's friend for now, but it's not permanent. Nothing is. If you never want to see us again, I understand. But I hope one day, maybe, we'll sit at a table again. Even just once. No demands. No expectations. Just family. Love, Mom. I reread the letter 3 times. Not because I didn't understand it, but because I needed to figure out if it was real. It felt honest. Regretful. But it came after everything. After the lies, the betrayal, the smirks and locked doors and lawyer voicemails. After the whole family had turned me into a villain for finally saying no. And now that they'd lost it all, the truth was just convenient. But I didn't feel angry anymore. Not even cold. Just done. For the first time in years, my shoulders didn't feel like they were holding up an entire household. My phone wasn't blowing up. No payment reminders. No desperate spot me just this once texts. The silence wasn't lonely, it was peaceful. And I didn't want to give that peace up. Not even for an apology. 3 weeks later, the house hit the auction listing. I saw the photos online. Every corner looked emptier than I remembered. Not physically, there was still furniture and decor, but emotionally. It was like the illusion had cracked, and the house finally reflected the truth. It had never been a home. Just a stage set, propped up by sacrifice and denial. I got a message from an old neighbor, Mrs. Fields. She was the kind of woman who knew everything going on within a 5-block radius. She told me my parents had been forced to vacate within 14 days. Megan hadn't taken it well. There had been shouting. Police weren't called, but it was close. No surprise there. A week after that, I got another email, this time from the bank's lawyer. Apparently, I was still listed in some documentation as a concerned third party, and they wanted to know if I had any intention of bidding on the property. I didn't reply. I let the house go. And for the first time in a long, long while, I let myself go. I started spending money on myself. Not extravagantly, but meaningfully. I upgraded my apartment, took a solo trip to the mountains and left my phone on airplane mode the entire time. Bought a used car that wasn't held together by prayers and duct tape. Signed up for therapy and actually went. I stopped checking Megan's Instagram. Blocked the family group chat for good measure. Changed my number. Deleted the saved payment accounts. One day, while walking through a bookstore, I picked up a blank journal. I didn't know what I'd write in it, but I felt like something needed to start. Not to process the pain. Therapy was already doing that. But to record who I was becoming, now that I wasn't stuck in the role they'd assigned me. The reliable one. The bank account. The invisible son. That guy was gone. Months passed. I didn't see them. Didn't hear from them. Christmas came. No card. No message. And for once, that felt like a gift. On New Year's Eve, I sat alone in my new apartment, sipping tea and watching fireworks from the balcony. I thought about all the years I spent trying to earn love by being useful. About how easily they discarded me the second I stopped serving a purpose. But more than anything, I thought about how close I'd come to believing they were right. And I was proud of myself for walking away. For burning the bridge they swore was my only path. For surviving. And then building something better. One morning, early spring, I got an email from an unfamiliar name. No subject line. Just one sentence. I understand now. I'm sorry. I didn't need to ask who it was from. I didn't reply. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't a dramatic confrontation. It's living a life so free, so full, so authentically yours, that the people who broke you are left to wonder how you did it without them. And the truth is, I just stopped waiting for them to care and started choosing me every single day.